Well, I've heard of cattle class, but this really does take the mick. But on the other hand, they do play an important part in the railway's history. So today we're here with the Wagon Group, some dedicated individuals who are responsible for keeping this set moving. Welcome to In the Loop. Hello folks and welcome to the Watercress line. Today we're up here at Medsted and Foremost to speak to the Wagon Group, and they're responsible for our fantastic demonstration freight train. But before we go any further, it's time for a quick fire look around the railway to see what's been happening since the last episode. Not exactly behind the scenes to start with, but we had our diesel gala in the middle of the month. A fantastic event with a mix of home fleet and some visitors of a Class 14 with the Severn Valley, a Class 33 Brompton from Swanage. Our home fleet running the 20s have returned, as you can see. Driver experiences with our shunters, and of course this absolute beastie 66502 from the main line. And well, it'd be rude not to ask, and they said yes. So while it's here, shall we have a quick look in the engine room? Oh, this is what it's all about. So, what you're looking at here is a V12 engine, produces 3,200 horsepower, and essentially, they're used for hauling freight on the main line. In fact, this is actually the first time it's ever hauled a passenger train. Fantastic bit of kit, and as a cheeky bonus, they even cleaned it by hand before coming here. What a machine. And I suppose this is a fantastic time to say thank you to everyone who attended. Thank you to the owning groups for bringing their engines down. It's been a fantastic event. And yeah, can't wait for the next. Now away from the big railway, here on the miniature, they had a steam gala with two visiting locomotives. This beauty here, Firefly from the Hastings Miniature Railway, and Ernest Henry Upton, visiting from the Eastleigh Lakeside. It's actually the first time both of these locomotives have been to Ropley Miniature Railway, and they tackled the 1 in 50 steep gradient incredibly well. So who knows? They might just have to come back once again. And if they do, trust me, I'll be there. Over here in the carriage works, lots is happening. So the coach off to my right, to your guys' left, is one of our accessible coaches, but the bogie needs some work on it. However, the coach at the rear is about to be taken out of service for some further work, so they're doing a bit of a bogie swap, so this one can stay out running. The reason is, A, that wheel set needs to go away for turning, and also I'm currently standing in one of the other accessible coaches, which understandably is not ideal, especially if it starts raining. So a little bit more about this, let's go into the wood workshop. Over here in the wood workshop, they are currently working on 270 components for the roof pieces, various shapes, sizes, but they have to be done to an exacting profile. Now, if you come down to the rear of the workshop, you're going to see pieces like these. Now, you notice they're a little bit thicker than the other pieces, and they have slots cut into them. The reason is, once assembled, they look a bit like this. Now, these are all the light boxes. We've tried to reuse old bits of wood where possible. It's not always the case, but we do try. So the light box will go in here, and the cables required to, well, like the coaches, will run through the top. Now, the guys here have about 270 components to take from logs to profiled and usable bits of wood. So fair play to them, it's going to look fantastic when it's done. Equally, I don't envy them. Over here in the boiler shop, starting with Canadian Pacific, we have the smoke box, which is currently standing on its end, which is what I'm leaning against. They currently have the smoke box door on for test fitting and alignment purposes. On the main boiler itself, the crown stays we saw last time, they're still in the process of going in, and they're also working on some studs and pads for those boiler fittings. At the back you have 75079's boiler, and they're currently working on the lap seams in the boiler, fettling ready for riveting. Now over here in a rather noisy Ropley MPD, the work never stops. We've got 75079's, our standard for interior of the main chassis. The brake cylinder has now been fitted, and Gavin is currently working on the horn alignment, which we saw last time. Looking at our little tank engine, you may have seen previously we were fitting a mechanical lubricator to this instead of a hydrostatic one like we could find on this engine, and also you can find on 506. So it uses steam from the boiler to provide lubrication to the cylinders. However, this one does get moved around a lot, being loaded onto lorries to go to other railways, so they fitted a mechanical which works off the motion of the engine. As you can see, it's connected down through, this drives on a ratchet, and you can also drive it by hand when you need to prime it. Last time we saw our little tank engine's boiler, it was having its cladding test fitted. That's now done, it's now being painted. Don't worry about the colour though, this is just on the inside, essentially it's to protect the cladding, and we have a lot of green paint to use up for another little tank engine. It's going to have its lovely blue on the outside though. And finally, the cause of all this ruckus, Mick here has been working on the standard 4 wheel set, essentially chipping off the old paintwork, it's all rusted underneath, he's then priming and reapplying some new stuff. Excellent work all round. Well, a lot's happening here at the Watercress line. Now today we're at Medstead and Four Marks to speak to the Wagon Group. These are the team of dedicated individuals who restore, overhaul and maintain this fantastic fleet of freight vehicles. So, without further ado, I caught up with John, one of the group's supervisors. John, thanks so much for chatting to us. So, well, let's start from the basics. Who are you guys?
Well, we're the Wagon Group, obviously the Watercress line Wagon Group. We have 3 different groups. This is the Wednesday, we call it the midweek group at Medstead. There's also a Saturday group, which tend to be slightly younger guys because they're working people and they're more free at weekends than we are.
Understandably, yeah.
And there's also a group up at Alton, so we do run sort of as 3 separate groups, but under the same banner, if you know what I mean.
All singing on the same hymn sheet.
That's right, absolutely.
I suppose you've got quite a few wagons or vehicles to work on. So we're currently sitting in one.
Yes.
This is one of your newer completed ones.
This
so
is
what can you tell us?
Absolutely. This is the brake van 953701 that we've just completed. Came in for a sort of basic repaint, but we had to replace quite a bit of the timber on the verandas. And also we took the ducket off on the north side.
So the ducket, that's this bit here where,
where the guard can look up and down the train. This side was okay, but the north side one was quite rotten underneath, and we took the whole ducket off and renovated it and replaced some wood. And then we gave the whole wagon a complete repaint and a clean up, and now it's ready to go back into traffic, subject to its fit to run.
It does look absolutely sparkling. I don't, as from the loco side of it, I do like a brake van ride occasionally.
Yeah, there's something about a brake van. It's quite magical, I think. Yes.
It's got to be a van, but where else can you
absolutely.
do it?
And of course, the Queen Mary brake van rides in the goods train are so popular at the galas.
Yeah, it's done like a coach, that one.
Yeah. It's really nice, and also we had the added benefit. We were restoring this over the winter. We could sit in here with the stove going and enjoy a bit of warmth, which was really good.
Yeah, I can imagine they actually get rather toasty when needed.
Yes.
I do like the little hooks at the top for hanging off, I'm assuming, clothes.
Yeah, apparently that is for hanging wet clothes, and so it must have been quite successful, I should think. It must have been a lonely life for a guard in here sometimes, I should think.
Yeah, many passengers to talk to, yeah. Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
But anyway, more to freight train than brake vans. Shall we have a look at some more?
Yes, we've got plenty to show you, yes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks. Right, well, here's one that we're working on currently. David there is replacing the timbers on the doors. They were quite rotten and not far off coming off, so they had to be done. Once we started taking the timbers off, we discovered that more of it needed replacing than we originally thought. So it's turned into a bigger project than we anticipated, but it's all coming together and it's all looking good. Also on this van, we need to do a bit of filling on there's a few minor gaps in the timbers, and then it'll be all rubbed down, and at least that side will be repainted if we can, as long as we can match the colour with the rest of it, which will be bauxite colour with a bit of black paint added to it and try and match the rest of the van.
I suppose that must be quite an art form and
yeah, it's
an absolute pain. I don't envy the person who has to do that.
No, there's a bit of trial and error involved.
It's understandable.
But I think, yeah, the rest of the van's in pretty good condition, so it won't be too long before it's back out.
So the timbers themselves, obviously, it's wood exposed to the weather. How long generally do you reckon you can get out of a lot of timbers?
It varies a lot, but we repaint them probably every 4 or 5 years, and we do find it's where the water ingress is that we get the problems. If a good example is the cattle wagon, where just one door has really rotted away, and it's where the water has run in and somehow got underneath the paintwork and caused the wood to rot extremely quickly. This is another project we're working on, which is an ex-LMS van, 520771. We put a brand new door onto the north side here, a completely new door, and we had real fun and games getting it back up onto the rollers, but
I imagine that must have been incredibly heavy.
It was very heavy, and we had an amazing system of ropes and levers, and it was all very safe, and we managed to lever the door up onto the rollers, and it all worked very well.
It works, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
My favourite part of the freight train. So, I'm pretty sure this didn't always have a tractor on it. John, what can you tell us about this?
Well, no, it's very popular, this tractor. It's always commented upon by the visitors. It was a hedgerow job, literally, that came to the railway about 7 or 8 years ago, and it was literally a wreck. I was in the Saturday group at the time, so it was about 5 of us, led by Dylan, the Saturday supervisor, and we took the whole tractor to pieces. Dylan took the engine home and renovated it, and then we started to piece it back together again. The brief from the railway was to have a cosmetically finished tractor to look like a vehicle being delivered to a farm, but we decided to go one step further, and we got it running. We put the engine back and connected everything up, and then ran the engine.
Brilliant.
It's a 1950 Ferguson TED-20, which ran on petrol and vaporising oil, but we only ran it on petrol because we didn't, it wasn't going to be a working tractor, but we just started it and ran it on petrol. Yeah, the ropes holding the vehicle on are actually authentic ropes that Chris Corney obtained, and they actually have to be knotted in the correct manner to make it look authentic, and which they were. They have to be at the right tension, because with the weather they expand and contract. So although they may look a little bit slack, they tighten up with the weather, so it is actually correct. And the tractor wouldn't go anywhere anyway, because it's got the brakes on and the wheels are chocked.
I say, it looks absolutely superb. I do like seeing it go past. I'm always curious to think, what do we like sitting on the tractor going along at line speed? Naturally, I'm not going to find out.
Yeah, it would look rather good, actually. You have an old farmer sitting on it.
Imagine that for a guy. I said, do you mind sitting there? How long for? About 12 hours. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
Assume the same pose.
With a bit of straw in his mouth. And
hampering about it. Right. Thank you, Doc. Well, shall we crack on then and see what more?
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Got to get down now, haven't we?
You've seen the project in the yard that we've completed. This is Bennett's Siding, which is opposite our yard, where the goods train is stabled. There are quite a few minor jobs that need doing on these vans. Here's a good example here, which is where the plywood is delaminating. So small jobs like that, and we're also fitting a new rain strip onto the top of the roof there. One has rotted away. But our next...
Sounds obvious. The rain strip, is it just to deflect it away from the door?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's just to stop the rain running down over the door, basically, and to send the rain out to the ends.
Makes sense.
And try and protect the wood a bit. And the next major project is the milk tanker, which will be brought into the yard. Anything that's more than just running maintenance really comes into the yard to be done. It's not in bad condition. It's got to have the brakes sorted out, a general clean up and a repaint. The timber bulks holding the tank seem to be in pretty good condition, so they might need just tidying up. We're going to restore this to its 1960 look, which will hopefully have a nice shiny tank, and the paintwork will be cleaned up and painted, and that one will be coming into the yard. So that will be the next big project that we're going to do.
Well, John, you've certainly got a lot to keep you guys busy. You do fantastic work with it. You've got your Wednesday gang here, Saturday, Alton. But it's good to know we've got a nice straight set from it. So, John, thanks once again.
Thank you for coming up, Will. Nice to see you.
Well, there we have it. Naturally, when you come down as passengers, you'll be expected to travel in coaches. And so you should too. But it's important to keep the other part of the railway's history alive, the movement of freight. And it's thanks to these dedicated individuals that we have a fantastic set of vans and wagons to show for it. Now, if you would like to find out more about the Wagon Group, or even better, are considering volunteering, then do get in contact with them using the email on the screen. Apart from that, that's it from this week. So guys, thank you to you for watching, thank you to John for showing us around, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and good news, I'm nearly out of cow puns. So stick the next episode in your dairy, and we'll see you next time.